Along with individual experts, SurgeonMasters brings you life improvement strategies in 10 minutes. These proven principles and strategies are easy to learn and can be applied immediately, allowing you to practice your best. Here's your host, Jeff Smith.
On this episode of the SurgeonMasters mini podcast, we have our guest, Dr. Tracey O'Connell. Tracey is a recovering radiologist and mindset coach. Tracey, welcome to SurgeonMasters.
So nice to be here, Jeff. Thank you.
Tracey, we got to know each other through the coaching world, but in medicine, you're a radiologist and I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I thought there's got to be a good joke about that. But then I thought, gosh, in a way, like those jokes are almost part of that culture where we sometimes use it to make fun of each other in a jabbing sort of way.
Yeah, well, I am a musculoskeletal radiologist as well, which brings us even that much closer. And, I will say that in my career, I've had a pretty nice relationship with orthopedists. And it was actually some of my own radiology coworkers that were much more problematic for me in the professional sense of sort of lack of collegiality, more competition, and misunderstanding of one another than I ever felt with my orthopedic colleagues, which was surprising. And also, it doesn't surprise me at all that I enjoy you as a human being and an orthopedist.
Well, and I have great memories of the days when we intentionally ran into each other to go over x-rays, and now we've evolved to where that's much more remote. But I think we do have, in general, a pretty darn good collegial relationship with our radiology colleagues. I think the other cool thing about the specialty crossover between surgeons and radiologists is the need for collaboration on having different perspectives to overlapping clinical scenarios. And it's those perspectives why we have you here as a guest. So we want your perspective in the career, and we want your perspective in coaching and helping our audience.
I really love that we're in this dynamic together. And like you, I really believe collaboration and cooperation are always at the root of either of those dynamics. In a coaching relationship and in any kind of healthy relationship, where we should be able to communicate with one another and meet in the middle and make progress and work through differences. And certainly the world of imaging has changed so much. And I know orthopedics have changed as well. But anytime we can work together to really understand what the patient's situation is, and also even down to reporting, what is it the orthopedist needs to see in the report, and how do we make your life easier? Those kinds of moment to moments in our day, our work day, can make a big impact and make things more pleasant and less distressing.
And I think our conversation goes even beyond radiology and orthopedics. It's the surgeon audience, it's the physician culture that we've talked about, and that concept that we're alluded to a little bit, that a little bit of shame in medicine. I don't know if it comes from us or comes from around us. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that to just explain the word, in case those are in the audience are uncomfortable with the word shame, the more formal definition would be a really painful feeling that we're inherently bad or unworthy of belonging or being loved or being accepted, the sense of being ostracized or not enough. And I think that we feel that way a lot in medicine, in all disciplines of medicine, and then consequently may feel that way when we go home, right? Of just sort of not being enough, of not being able to meet the extraordinary demands placed upon us in the workplace. And I want to just acknowledge right off the bat that that sense of not being enough, especially in today's medical culture, there really needs to be a lot of self-compassion around that, meaning that it's not that you're not enough, it's that the system, it's too much, right? It's a lot for any one person, no matter how talented or composed or how many years of practice you have under your belt. Moment to moment, situations come up with patients, their families, the electronic health record, any kind of, I'm late for the OR, I'm late for my patient or a meeting, or I'm stuck in the parking lot and I'm going to be late to get home. These moments can really overwhelm us. And so the work that I do now with folks is to really acknowledge those seemingly trivial, the minor things that lead up to a lot of sense of overwhelm and not being enough. And how do we continue to show up every day in that mindset, which can be really demoralizing. So I try to work with folks to help them speak to themselves in a kinder way and accept and embrace the realities as they are, knowing that we also have some maintaining our autonomy and ability to set boundaries and kind of stay in touch and tune with ourselves, to not let the insanity roll us over and lose our connection to ourselves and what really matters to us.
And so if I'm understanding you correctly, there's an acknowledgement that the sense of shame or not good enough in each of these environments is sort of a natural response to the amount of expectations on us. And then helping us process, the next step is to process that emotion somewhat. How would you add to that?
Yes, I think that there's certainly plenty of external pressure. Many of us are, if not all of us, are high achievers and very ambitious and diligent and conscientious. And all of these strengths can work against us when we're put in situations and circumstances where there's just too much, right? It's additive and there's not breathing room for those maintaining connection to what really matters and how do I get through this moment and navigate it to the next one. So I think that's just, the first step is just really acknowledging this is a lot. It's a culture that's difficult and we choose to be there for various reasons. But in order to keep showing up, we have to maintain that connection to the rewards so that the rewards are commensurate with the sacrifices and the personal toll that it takes on us.
So relatively quickly, what do you think some of those next steps or actions that people can take to do what you're saying?
Well, I think, again, it's this, let's just speak about it a little bit. There's not a lot of time any of us have in the workday. We used to have more opportunities for camaraderie and for downtime. You might be on call, but there wasn't anything going on. And so sometimes we have to foster those connections in intentional ways with staff and coworkers and people in our lives that can really make a huge impact on how our day proceeds. Office managers, and really that there is tons of research and information we could talk about and tuning into what we're feeling and emotional intelligence. But I think the first step is to be able to call a spade and say, I'm struggling and this is a lot. And most of the time, it's pretty rare to find someone else in medicine who's also struggling too with the overwhelm. So that sense of I'm not alone in this. And if you're not feeling like there's a safe place to confide in another or to share those kind of experiences, then that's a little bit of a wake-up call to say that's maybe something that you should look into, where you might find that and that kind of support, whether it be coaching or friendships or work relationships.
Thank you. And Tracey, I think I'm going to summarize this for our audience and just say that it's starting that process of acknowledging the shame and what we're dealing with, and then finding something out of that conversation by connecting with others and having that conversation with ourselves of what's next to change this.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that the future ideas would be around who are the people's opinions in your life that really matter, because you're not going to be able to please everyone. And we all hurt one another. We're going to hurt everyone we love in our lives, and they're going to hurt us at some point. And how do we mend those fences and repair those relationships and maintain the ones that matter most?
Well, thank you so much, Tracey. Thanks for joining us and sharing this conversation with us.
My pleasure, Jeff.
There you have it. In less than 10 minutes, this is Jeff Smith along with Dr. Tracey O'Connell. Until the next episode of Life Improvement Strategies for the Surgeon Who Wants More. Ciao.
Now, take 10 minutes and put your plan into action to practice your best.